On this episode, we talk about Jimmy Snuka being charged with murder, Rollins pulling double duty at Night of Champions, Braun Strowman wrestling, WWE 2K16 Roster update, your questions, and more right now on Byte That. Hey gang, what is going on? You are listening to episode 106 of Byte That's weekly wrestling podcast, the place where we take that stale chocolate donut, we put that thing in a blender, put some milk, some ice cream, and make something delicious out of it, and then talk about the WWE and maybe the rest of professional wrestling. Thanks for tuning in and checking out the show. Remember, we are available every single Tuesday night on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, ByteThat.com, and for this and tons more, we're talking reviews, fantasy leagues, square roundtables. Head on over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. My name is Juan Bellas. I am from San Juan, Puerto Rico, and joining me as always from Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada, Keith Poshik. What up, man?
How long do you have to let a chocolate donut sit for it to be stale? I don't know if this is something I've ever encountered in my life.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's glazed, they last seemingly forever, right?
Exactly. Is that considered apocalypse food?
Maybe. I mean, what do you think, Ryan? Ryan? Oh, sorry.
Ryan?
From Boston, Massachusetts, Ryan McNulty. Is he not here?
Ryan, where's
he's
Ryan?
always here. We're the ones that usually skip out an episode.
But no.
Oh,
where's the balance and the force? There's no balance.
This can't happen. This can't be happening. Why? Okay, people, calm down. Don't hit the pause button. The podcast is going to keep happening. We're doing this, Keith, right? It's been a while.
We may be on the verge of a state of emergency, but I think we can get through this. Exactly. I think we can do it.
I mean, this week, it's a Tuesday, and already the wrestling news are pretty bad. Like, I don't think we've ever had to cover so many wrestling news. Like TMZ, I have 4 TMZ tabs open. I don't think I've ever done that, even outside of the podcast.
And understatement of the year is brought to you by the Byte That podcast. Yeah. When you say it's bad, that is a understatement this week. Holy cow.
So before we get to the damage, you doing good? What's been up with you, man? Because I know you took a break from something that you're doing right now. Not the other thing people are thinking of.
Oh yeah, no, there's no breaks on that one. But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm a tired, defeated, broken man. If you checked out the Twitch channel over the weekend, I played a lot of video games.
A couple hours.
Specifically, a couple hours, about 40 of them, give or take. And I played Metal Gear Solid. I played almost all of the Metal Gear Solid.
How them hands doing?
Them hands are great. You know, I actually feel good. Like, it was almost like this weird boot camp to get ready for when MGS5 comes out. Because now I've got I've got all the motions down. Let's go. And I feel like a true pro right now.
Yeah. No, at the end of the show, we're actually going to take a 2-3 minutes to talk about that. Because maybe people are curious. In my case, I mentioned it during the week. I actually attended a WWE house show this past Saturday, which... Before I went to it, I can't say I was looking forward to it too much. I mean, we weren't getting Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, John Cena. It very much...
Yeah, I thought I got a B show. Holy guacamole.
Yeah, it felt like a C show. Although, having said that, I enjoyed the show. I mean, we got Stardust, we got Neville, we got Chris Jericho, Luke Harper, Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns.
Was that the main event, or what was your main event?
Yeah, the main event was a street fight, Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt. So we got like a powerbomb through a table, we got some kendo sticks, some chairs. So it was a fun show. I just want to get to 2 things. Number 1, holy crap, is Roman Reigns over? I mean...
Oh, I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. All of the WWE shows that have happened in Puerto Rico are pretty much in the same arena, which sits around 13,000 people, give or take. So we've had John Cena in that building. We've had The Undertaker in that building. Batista. I would say after The Undertaker, Roman Reigns is the loudest pop I've legitimately heard in that arena. It's ridiculous.
It's more proof that the breaks they put on Roman Reigns after WrestleMania was one of the best decisions they've ever made creatively, because he's just... I think when they finally pull the trigger on Roman Reigns, everybody's going to be so okay with it. It's crazy, because Roman Reigns is being more and more over by the week.
Yeah, that was the best thing they could have done for him. Although overall, I think I'm kind of done with house shows, honestly, because the matches are just... I was trying to think of a good analogy. I can never really do that. So I'm just going to say it feels like you see the people that you see on TV, but there's a missing element to it. You know, on TV, you get to see the character development. Here's like, oh, there's Bray Wyatt. Okay, I'm looking at him, but that's about it.
I think the TV is that missing element you're talking about. It's like there's matches that we see on Raw and SmackDown where we feel like, okay, they're just going through the motions and like getting their segment done. But house shows are that to the most extreme degree, because they are literally just going through the motions, prepping for their TV match, and that's it. Like, there's only a certain amount of excitement you can really get out of a house show for that. It's almost like a weird training ground.
Yeah, like...
that you're paying money to see.
Yeah, like we got Ryback versus Big Show, and the match on Raw was the exact same match, which, as you mentioned, house shows are, you know, trial and error, see what helps, what's good or what's not. I mean, we have spots that we may never get to see on TV. If somebody called out a spot that we've yet to see, you know, revolving somebody's taint.
Taint, yes. And a mighty taint it is.
Now, so let's get to some news. So before we even recorded the show, just when, you know, we thought things could not get worse, so we have Jimmy Snuka has officially been charged for a murder that he committed in 1983. I'm not misspelling this. You know, let me spell it out for you. 1983. I didn't spell it out, but go with it. He murdered his ex-girlfriend. Then we also have the situation with the WWE Performance Center, which was this obsessed wrestling fan that was apparently fired at because WWE had a restraining order, but he proceeded to go there anyway. He smothered feces around the entire arena, like the backstage, like the outside part.
Jesus.
Yeah. Like, not all of it, but yeah, there was feces and urine around the place. And then, of course, the Seth Rollins girlfriend fiasco where they basically dug up old social media posts of her back in, like, 2012 regarding Nazi symbols and some racial slurs, and then she was released. So obviously people are quickly thinking, you know, how will this affect Rollins? I guess we'll get to that in a little bit. But how are you feeling, Keith, as a fan? It just seems like, you know, we're getting like this negative news story. Oh, I'm not done. I forgot, right? Like Bram, TNA wrestler Bram, who has signed like 80 different contracts. He has a domestic violence charge too. So it's like, can we take a break from this? It's too much.
Hopefully those contracts were ironclad, or else Bram's in some hot water. But what a dark week for wrestling. There's just, it's everywhere you look. You think it's finally over. Like, you think bad things happen in threes. Well, I guess this actually would be 3 at this point, so maybe it is all over. But just, oh no, it's been a pretty bad week as far as wrestling related news, and yeah. Let's hope it gets better.
The only one that I want to get to, because it's so interesting how it came to be, is the Jimmy Snuka one, which, by the way, as of the podcast, this happened, let's see here, 3 minutes ago. Like, yeah, so this happened unbelievably recently, just before we recorded. So, I mean, now if I refresh, it's going to change.
It is breaking news.
Yeah. So I'm just going to write this, because I'm just going to read this, not write it, because I can't make this up. Cops say Jimmy Snuka has been lying about what really happened to the days his girlfriend died for decades, and his own autobiography helped convince cops he's the murderer. TMZ has obtained documents from the grand jury that indicted the former superstar, which spells out why investigators believe he killed Nancy Argentino in 1983. Long story short, cops say Snuka told investigators in 1983 that Nancy injured her head while the two were fooling around outside their motel room in Pennsylvania when he pushed her and fell, striking her head. Now, fast forward to 2012.
Jesus.
Yeah, this is where things get interesting. When Snuka published his autobiography, Superfly, the Jimmy Snuka Story, the story changed drastically. In the book, Snuka says Nancy slipped and fell on her own while going to the bathroom at a rest stop. He makes no mention of an altercation whatsoever. So the cops took notice. They reopened the case, and ultimately they determined that there was enough evidence to prove that Snuka laid a serious beat down on Nancy, which directly caused her death. So, I mean, the moral of the story is, don't be a stupid moron killing your girlfriend. That's probably
or at
the first
least get
one.
your story straight.
Yeah.
if it does happen, which it should never do that. But this is crazy, because this has the potential to be absolutely catastrophic as far as the entire wrestling, or like wrestling as a whole, goes. Because really, one of the biggest urban legends in wrestling was this Jimmy Snuka thing, and how it was a big cover-up. Like, Vince McMahon did everything in his power to help Snuka cover it up for the bad rep. So now here we are, all these years later, he's convicted. So who's to say that there's other people that don't go down with him? Maybe one of them being Vince McMahon. You never know.
No, and I think the really negative part is if you go to TMZ.com right now, which is, of course, one of the biggest gossip sites and all that, WWE is all over the place, be it for Seth Rollins, and obviously this is not the first time Seth Rollins is in there. Then you got this, and you got Bram. So even non-WWE stuff, wrestling as a whole has a lot of spotlight on it right now, and I can't really say that too much of it is good. So, yeah.
I never really understood the whole Seth Rollins association besides like grabbing a headline. Now we're kind of talking about what is Zahara? Zahara, the whole that thing. But I don't understand why people think Seth Rollins might face punishment for something like this. I think it's very unrelated. Like, yes, it's his girlfriend, but that's kind of where the buck stops. Like, yeah, the headlines are about Seth, but that's just an attention grabber. I don't know why people are saying, like, oh, Seth might be going down for this. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I don't really say it as a way of anything against Rollins particularly, but as a company, obviously they have the B-Stars, they have all these, great things. John Cena just granted 500 wishes for Make-A-Wish.
Well, let me ask you, from this Jimmy Snuka thing, should Tamina be released because of it?
Well, but Tamina, I mean, one thing is like the daughter who's like whatever, but I mean the assumption, the key word is assumption, is that when you're somebody's boyfriend or girlfriend, you know about that person, so maybe it's a moral
were they in
thing.
2012? Probably not.
Yeah, no, but that's what I'm saying. It's like it's all assumptions, but historically, WWE doesn't really like assumptions like that.
Yes, when you assume.
Yeah, so. I don't think much will happen with Rollins, although we will get to kayfabe storyline-wise. A lot did happen to Rollins this Monday, so let's actually get to that. Let's stop covering all the gossip, all the murder. This is too much.
Let's leave negative Nancy over there. Let's get to positive Pete.
You shouldn't have said Nancy, considering it. Let's just keep going now.
I chose my words well. Let's talk about positive Pete. Monday Night Raw.
Yes, wrestling. So Seth Rollins is going to have his hands full at Night of Champions because, of course, we already knew, and there's this huge annoying bird chirping, so my apologies for that, but we already knew that Sting was going to challenge Rollins for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, every championship is to be defended at Night of Champions. Figure that one out. So John Cena comes out, and then we are going to have Seth Rollins be in 2 matches on the same show. I want to get first to Sting, because he, of course, opened up Raw. And he...
Yeah, maybe there was a Canadian on this show that kind of called that last week. Yeah. So I'm just going to pat myself on the back.
I mean, damn, there's only 2 of us this week, so I can't just, throw this one to Ryan. Yes, you're right. So congratulations, Keith.
Yay.
But with Sting, a lot of people are hating on his promo because the gist of it is that Triple H is way up here, which is why Sting lost to him, but he's basically facing Seth, who is lower than Triple H, therefore Sting can beat him. Now, how did you feel about that?
It's weird. It's really, really weird. Sting has never had a good angle in the WWE yet. They've always done weird things with Sting, like the WCW thing, now this. It's always seemed like Sting is a little bit lost as far as purpose goes. And no, it came off weird. Like, okay, you're facing Triple H's protege. Of course he's not going to be good as Triple H because he's learning from Triple H. Shocker. So that gives you all the reason in the world to beat him. So what does that mean? When you win the title, you're going to challenge Triple H to see who's the best? What does that mean? Yeah, and some people commented, and I definitely get that that's where they were going with, is that Sting is playing mind games. So he wants to downplay Rollins to sort of create some friction between the Authority. But I just think he did that a little too much. You open up Raw, this is your first impression of Raw, Sting, where this is going specifically for Night of Champions. And then all he did was pretty much kiss Triple H's ass. And it's just weird. Yeah, really?
Yeah, knowing Sting, you know, like the icon, everything that we've seen from him, it just seems so out of character. And by the way, just before I even forget this, at the house show I went to, I totally got why he's called the Vigilante. So there's these video packages playing, right? And I see Sting versus Rollins comes up, like for Night of Champions, the promo. So there's these kids behind us, and they're always the best reference of why WWE does some things, and they just marked out like crazy for Sting. But how they acted was if Sting was this younger guy, because we know Sting is older, you know, we know his past, but the face paint definitely does a good job of hiding. And when you think of the word icon, you think of an older person like the icon Sting, but Vigilante, you know, just a vigilante. I still don't like it. But I think that's probably what they did.
That's a really good point. Never really even considered that.
Yeah. So kids, man, they should be doing this podcast thing, not us. They know way more.
Hey, maybe they will one day.
Well, Keith, get to it.
We're old man when we're cricketing away on our rocking chairs. There'll be a new generation of Byte.
Get off my
and
cast!
They'll tell us why the Vigilante was such a good idea.
Yeah. So, Sting is facing Rollins at Night of Champions. Now we get John Cena coming out. Stephanie, not Sting, is in the ring. Rollins, Cena.
Sting McMahon is a whole
that's a whole nother podcast. But then, we find out that John Cena is going to be facing Seth Rollins. Now, of course, this gets the ball rolling a lot, where maybe Sting will win. Because, of course, John Cena is going to face Rollins before. So maybe we'll save that for the predictions episode, but it definitely opens up the door for a lot more different outcomes.
Honestly, I thought the segment with Cena at the end of Raw was worlds better than Sting's promo as far as creating this rift in the Authority, because Cena came out and straight up said, like, you want to see how expendable you are? Watch this. And exactly what Cena said was going to happen. So if you're going to create a rift in the Authority, do stuff like that, not just Triple H's D for 20 minutes on the mic and then say like, oh yeah, that's why he's so much better. I personally liked it. I think it helped build that match way more. And
I appreciated how simple it was. I want my rematch. Yeah. Every title's on the line here, so we're fighting. You know, this is going to be a thing. It didn't need to be way more. So that's interesting how with Sting, it was so obvious. He was trying so hard to get the angle over, but then Cena can just come out and do that. Definitely goes to show how far, you know, we complain about Cena for some things, but the man, when he needs to really get that ball rolling or get that message across, I mean, the guy delivers almost every time.
When we've said it 100 times, when Cena's good, he's great, and that happens a lot on the microphone.
Now, getting to something that we're still getting adjusted to. Of course, last week we saw that there is a new Wyatt family member, and now he is officially called the Black Sheep as the nickname because the mask was not obvious enough. We got Braun Strowman, who we struggled to figure out, you know, is it Strowman, but it's Strowman. At least as far as I know. He got a match on Raw, and the man looked like a beast. I mean...
Yeah, holy cow.
You got him facing off against Dean Ambrose. You get Roman Reigns involved, and then the man is built like a tank. He looks like a tank, and honestly, I think that's what the Wyatt family needed.
I hope there's a point, or there's never a point, I should say, in Strowman's career where he shaves his beard. Because as much as he looks like a tank, oh my god, does he have like the biggest baby face ever. He should never get rid of that beard.
He has like the cutest eyes.
It's the cutest eyes. Do you watch Game of Thrones, Juan?
No, my wife does a lot.
There's a character that he looks like whose name that I'm completely blanking on the spot. It's he's part of the Watch, and he's a good friend of Jon Snow. Somebody in the comments, please correct me and tell me who I'm thinking of. But I was actually super shocked on how strong they made Strowman look. Like, wow. It seems like they're going all in with this character and just how he's going to be this unstoppable beast. And I like it. I think it's really cool. I think that's exactly the route they should go just because we've never seen him before. He skipped developmental. He's a big unknown factor. Skipped a televised developmental, I should say. A big unknown factor. And he's kind of really an open book. So they really got the right foot. Right page.
I got you.
You know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm trying to say. My analogies are all mixed up.
Hey man,
he's on a good road.
That's what happens when we don't have Ryan. Ryan usually has the more clear, direct answers. But you and me, we at some point That sentence is going to conclude, and we hope people understand it, right? We get each other. Now, we're talking about the physical part of Braun, but he actually got some mic time, which that to me was surprising because I totally thought it was going to be Bray Wyatt. I mean, it's still weird to me when Luke Harper speaks, but then Braun has like this deep Undertaker-y voice when he spoke. What'd you think of that?
I think it fits him, and it's really fortunate that he does have that, considering how like young his face looks. At first I thought it was going to be another Brock Lesnar situation almost. Yeah. But you have such a good mouthpiece right beside him. I think it's totally okay if they just make him this intimidating silent monster.
Now, speaking of silent monster, let's get to some we're not going to get the soap opera music going here. But let's talk about this, Keith. You know, you ready? Because we got Ziggler, we got Rusev, Lana, Summer Rae. This keeps happening, and man, they keep pulling this out, and no pun intended. Yep. So we have this segment on Raw. Ziggler goes into his locker room, and then Summer Rae goes into the locker room. This is where, like, if you're watching Full House, they play the like audio track or something like that. And then we found, I can't even talk. We find that Summer Rae saw Dolph's Ziggler, and then Lana, see what I did there? And then Lana got upset at him for something he had no control over. I mean, there's no reason.
Why would you know, I'm a guy, maybe I don't get it, but there is no reason to be upset at Ziggler about something like that. That just seems like the dumbest thing.
I mean, it's not like he did, that we know of, it's not like he did his entrance pose where, you know, he like swings around naked or something like that, right? Like, he just went out of the shower.
I'm assuming he didn't do the helicopter, but he just got out of the shower. Why? What's so wrong about that?
I tried being way less direct about that, but that's pretty much the same thing, yeah.
Yeah.
So that happened. What do you think about this? Because
Honestly, I'm so upset that Ryan is not here for this because I just want to ask him, are you still okay with this feud after that stupid segment on Raw? Is everything still all good? Can you still defend this? Because it just seems like it's getting worse and worse every week. I want it to end. I just want it to be over.
And the thing is, it's not so much whether it's good or bad. It doesn't fit the show. It feels so out of place, because it just keeps getting more ridiculous. And I get maybe there is the demographic for that. So I would actually like to know, for those watching, who enjoyed that? For those listening, who enjoyed that segment? You know, send us a tweet, Byte That Cast. If you're listening on YouTube, drop a comment below. Because honestly, every time I see this, I'm like, I know I'm not the demographic, or this is not my thing, but this just seems bad. Like, I don't know, maybe 2 years ago, we spoke about Dolph Ziggler. Like, this man is the future. I mean, this guy has it all. And he has overtaken Bray Wyatt's spot, where Bray Wyatt, maybe like a year ago, we were saying almost the same thing, where, you can do whatever you want with the guy. It's not really working out. Now it is. So maybe this is a temporary thing, but I just don't get it. Man, I don't get it.
I personally am starting to believe that, like, the whole relationship angle thing is just something that doesn't work in a PG era, because you need that edge to it, really, to get it working, and that edge doesn't exist anymore, and this is what you get.
And talking about edge, I mean, Lana, talk about just a transformation, or is there such a thing as an untransformation or something? You go from, you know, this woman with power, pride, honor, directing Rusev to
crying on Monday Night Raw. Like, what happened? What happened?
Like, it's one thing to leave a couple of plot holes, you know, that usually happens in movies, you know, plot holes, like things that aren't explained, but, you know, they don't do that.
This is like a plot minefield at this point.
Exactly, because it's happened in the same storyline. You still have Rusev involved. You still have all these people involved. It just doesn't make sense. But, you know, let's take a break. This is getting heated up. You know, we got to keep the...
Let's pick this up with Ryan back next week, because I want to know if he can still defend this.
Yeah, let's do that. So, getting to the Beat the Clock challenge, we found out that there was going to be a challenge. For those that don't know, Beat the Clock is where, you know, the superstars have to beat their opponent as fast as possible. Fastest time wins. And then the winner was to face Nikki Bella at Night of Champions. Now, we found out that Charlotte was that winner. We are getting some hatred. I want to sort of bring it up here because it's not necessarily between you and me, but a lot of people were complaining about how Sasha Banks looked, particularly in her match against Paige, because, of course, Sasha Banks is a former NXT Divas champion, has beaten a ton of people, but then in this match, you know, she gets rampaged really quickly. She got beaten down pretty hard by Paige. And then I wanted to get your information. You know, did you feel that, or are people just overlooking that?
I think people are overreacting a little bit with that. That's kind of how the Beat the Clock challenge goes, right? You're in there with that sense of urgency to beat your opponent as fast as you can. And I think really the thing that makes it like kind of whatever to me is the fact that Sasha Banks didn't get pinned. Like, that match ended in a draw. So what's the big deal?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I do like that Charlotte is getting the opportunity. I don't think it should be Sasha Banks. I mean, I've said it in the show. Sasha Banks is my favorite superstar / diva on the roster. You know, she overtakes anybody else right now for me. Having said that, I think they should wait on that. So I like that Charlotte versus Nikki's happening.
I agree. I don't know if you see it the same way, but I almost see Sasha Banks in the same light that I saw early Randy Orton in, like face turn Randy Orton, where Sasha Banks would make a great contender to the Divas title. Like, maybe hold off on her being the Divas champion, but have her be the one that's always pushing the champion. In this case, I'm assuming it's going to be Charlotte to her limit.
And it makes sense because Charlotte's character is, you know, of course, the daughter of Ric Flair, but then Sasha Banks is the boss. And right now you have so many divas involved that you obviously can't give that type of character the time necessary to really, you know, just be the boss. Have these crazy backstage segments where you own the world and all that good stuff. But I think they're gonna have a pretty good match at Night of Champions. I just want to get some quick feedback about this next thing: tables and bubble wrap. Go.
All right, I need to push it back a little bit. When they cut back from commercial break and you just hear Big E, "Oh, Tampa, don't be sour," I just got instantly excited. It's more proof that the New Day is the best thing on that goddamn show. But how they went into the whole thing about different tables. They started doing mathematic problems, talking about periodic tables, saving the last table. God, New Day's so good.
No, they're just on fire. Xavier got a makeover. That happened.
This is beautiful hair. Yeah. It's like a lion's mane.
I'm just so happy with New Day. I needed to bring that up because we originally didn't have him in the agenda, but New Day has to be involved. Even if we talk about
a curveball there.
Yeah. Hey, you hit it.
Yeah.
And it's funny, a bubble wrap company actually tweeted out, to which people responded, like, bubble wrap companies have Twitter accounts? Like, what do? What does that Twitter account look like? I mean, you can check it out, but it's just weird, right?
I don't know why it never hit me, but there is a bubble wrap company that never really connected in my head. Like, oh, there's a place that makes bubble wrap, like, as their business. That is mind-blowing to me, but I digress.
You know, if we stop doing the podcast, I'm perfectly okay with being a bubble wrap salesman. I think I'd kick some ass doing that.
I think so too. You just go to your client with a roll of it, and then just start popping it and be like, "Don't you want to do this?"
Exactly. You want this. You want this in your hand. You want to grab it. I'm like, "Ugh!"
And pop.
Okay, so let's go over to
moving on.
Let's go over to the announcements quick before we go on with your questions, and of course the WWE 2K16 roster update courtesy of IGN's coverage. Fight Night continues. We are up to season 2, episode number 3, happening this week. Sabotage is in action. That's somebody that we haven't seen for quite a while. This episode, more than the previous 2, gives you a specific idea of, like, okay, things are turning. For the better or the worse, that's up to you. So head on over to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast, or you can go to Fight Night's website, fightnight.com, FYTE night.com, and check that out. This weekend, I'm putting up some gameplay of myself playing Day of Reckoning, WWE Day of Reckoning for GameCube. I had a Twitch stream, and I'm uploading the highlights over to the channel. I'm definitely going to be doing more with that game very soon, so make sure to follow us over at that Twitch channel, which, by the way, Keith, Ryan and I talked about this, and we were going to do it on the show, but since I'm the only one here, thank you. Like, congratulations, man, because holy crap. I mean, you streamed literally
a lot of Metal Gear.
Over 30 hours, of Metal Gear. You did 2 streams that were 10 hours long each. You basically didn't leave your house, and thanks to everybody that hung out. I mean, people got popcorn, and I think that's the reason why the Twitch channel is there. It's not just to watch us play games or play wrestling games, but just that hangout,
Yeah, just to hang out, chill, and yeah, I just want to take a moment to thank everybody that came and hung out with me during that entire stream. It was a lot of fun. We weren't able to accomplish the grand goal because of things completely out of my control, but we may have got knocked down, but that doesn't mean it's over. To anybody that was there, we will go back and do MGS4 at some point once I go by or go get a disc that works. But nonetheless, we got 75% of the way there. Thank you so much once again for everybody that hung out. It meant the world to me.
Yeah, it was awesome. And of course, just something to randomly announce. 12 Rounds 3 Lockdown is coming out September 11th, 2015. That is 2 days before my birthday, by the way. Just throwing that out there. I don't really care about this
so
movie
if you're looking
too much.
for the perfect birthday present for Juan, everybody buy him a copy of 12 Rounds.
I'm going to have like 40 copies of the same movie. Maybe some in DVD. I mean, hey, somebody gives me a VHS copy. I'm like, they took the time to do that. That's so beautiful.
Oh.
But yeah, Dean Ambrose is the star of the movie, and there's a GIF going around online that just made me go, okay, this movie is probably not going to be very good. I've not watched the previous 2 12-round movies, but I got to check this one out. So I'll probably review it some point down the line once it comes out. 12 Rounds 3 Lockdown. Confusing title. Too many numbers for me.
Can you post that GIF to our Twitter? Because I don't think I've seen it.
Yeah, count on that. So,
and in case somebody else has it.
Yeah, you'll go to our Twitter feed September 2nd. That is a Wednesday, tomorrow as of our recording. And then you can check that out. Okay, so having said that, it is time, Keith, that we do our weekly WWE 2K16 roster update.
And hey, Ryan isn't here. We can do it the fun way.
Yeah! Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Just give us a quick sample, Keith. Yeah! Okay, so let's do it.
All right.
Once again, you can go over to IGN to search WWE 2K16, and you can check out they're slowly revealing every single Monday the entire roster alongside some videos. So we'll get to that.
When does this game come out again? I'm sorry.
October 27th.
So there's still a lot of reveals to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's 120, and I believe with these, it's they're up to like 77 or 70 something. I know that much. So let's get to it. Number 1, we already found a video of him last week, but Aiden English. Andre the Giant.
That's actually pretty cool. I like Andre in the game because that means that there's this completely broken weight class they're adding in it.
Yeah. Batista.
Is Blue Tista confirmed?
Hopefully. Well, we can make that happen with Superstar threads. So.
True enough.
Chris Jericho?
Right.
Curtis Axel?
Once again, which one? What are the odds we get Axel?
It's just normal Curtis Axel. Yeah, it's normal. Dean Ambrose?
That's cool.
And he actually comes out with a jacket. He is very recent based on the screenshots. Edge? Eric Rowan? Fandango? I was going to say, you got to start changing that pitch, man. Breathe in the A's. JBL. Luke Harper.
Yeah.
The Macho Man, Randy Savage, yeah.
Ooh, yeah, dig it. He's been in a couple at this point.
Yeah. Natalia. Let's do like super fast for the next ones. Rick Rude. R-Truth. Ryback. Santino. Sergeant Slaughter.
Maggot.
Simon Gotch.
That means the Vaudevillain. Okay, the Vaudevillain's entrance is exciting, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the Vaudevillains personally.
How dare you?
I know.
Stephanie McMahon. The Rock and The Undertaker are the last 2.
Welcome to every... Have The Rock and Undertaker been in every single SmackDown game at this point, or WWE game?
I won't say WWE game for The Rock. The Undertaker, I believe, has been in every game, or almost every game.
That's
I'm
crazy.
pretty sure of that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
So the other thing is that there's a Brock Lesnar entrance video. We'll make sure to link that also on our Twitter feed. And I wanted to talk about it. Personally, for me, I think Brock's face looks a little, I don't know, weird. Like, he looks really puffy.
It almost looks worse than 2K15 to me.
Yeah.
I mean, the attire
weird.
was really weird in 2K15. I wasn't a fan of that one, but, you know, thanks to mods, you can fix that. But I'm just not a fan of how Brock Lesnar looks in this one. Yeah, he looks Braun Strowman levels of babyface.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling it too much. It was cool. Like, Paul Heyman, I think, looked pretty good. But, yeah, we'll definitely keep covering it. We do have some announcements in the near future regarding WWE2K16, but we'll keep that for another date. You know, put that in your pocket. Know that it's coming at some point in the near future. But meanwhile,
Indeed.
I think it's time we get to some questions, Keith.
I think you're 100% right. And remember, if you want to send us a question, you can send it over via Twitter, via email, via YouTube, Facebook, Wrestling Omino. You can send them any which way you want. Just send them to Byte That Cast, respectively.
Well, the email, just in case. It is bytethatcast@gmail.com, because they can do Yahoo. I mean, people use MSN, so
I mean,
Keith,
really,
if you don't inform that.
Really send them to all of the emails. If you wanted to send it to bytethatcast@altavista.com, we probably won't get it, but hey, we're not going to stop you in doing so. But
why not?
Yes, sure. But somebody that did not send their question to bytethatcast@altavista.com is friend of the show, Barney Johnson, Barnaballs, and he asks, who would you want to put over Kevin Owens at WrestleMania 32? I love this part. The obvious answer would be Brock, but I would also love if The Rock did it. So that's setting the bar a little high, don't you think?
Yeah, like all the way up there with Brock and Rock, huh?
Yeah.
I mean, I think those would be cool, although, honestly, I would actually pick Chris Jericho. I don't know why, but I would like to see that match at WrestleMania. Just tiny little storyline. I think Kevin Owens, he has a lot, so much potential, it is ridiculous. And I don't want that to just be put all on the line so quickly.
I agree, and I still stand by the fact that I never want to see Brock versus Kevin Owens as a match, just because they're just too similar, and somebody would come out of that match looking very bad, and it probably wouldn't be Brock. But as far as WrestleMania 32 goes, I think the question is Kevin Owens even, like, we're assuming that he's going to win a match at WrestleMania 32. Is that going to be even the case? Like, let's say we get something like Sami Zayn versus Owens at WrestleMania 32. Probably isn't going to win that. Probably isn't going over.
Yeah, and I think that should actually be the realistic match. I didn't bring that up because obviously we never had that type of NXT match on a WrestleMania before. But if there was any match that could really do that with a great, audience reaction, it's Zayn versus Owens.
I mean, at this point, that wouldn't be an NXT match, because do you think it's safe to assume that Sami Zayn is going to be called up when he gets back? Or do you think he's going to go back down? Of course.
I mean, I think the only way he can come back is by beating Kevin Owens down. Now, having said that, will the crowd react accordingly? I mean, we didn't get a lot of exposure of him in Raw, aside a great match from Cena.
When he did show up, look at how hard everybody marked out. I think it'll all work out A-okay. Hopefully. Now, we did manage to pull Ryan's responses to these questions out of the ether. We before he went into his MIA status, Ryan chimed in with these questions and gave us...
Yes, Keith, yes.
All right, you know what I'm trying to say. Ryan answered the questions. For this one, he says he thinks Triple H should make a great opponent, and they could use the NXT beginnings as a part of it. Kind of that's the angle that they could go with it. Now, Kevin Owens versus Triple H, I think that would be a hell of a match. Yeah,
that'd be pretty cool, because they can totally go... Like, Triple H promised him something but did not deliver. Like, I was going to go up to the main roster, become champion, but then you chose Rollins for this, and then Rollins versus Sting. What about me? I think it's something simple, and I think those two styles, they are very brawl-heavy, but then Kevin Owens always has that extra, with the high-flying and all that stuff. It could be great. If anything, I would prefer Triple H versus Owens than Chris Jericho versus Owens.
What about me? What about Raven? Our next question comes in from Donta12, Donta121 on Twitter, and he asks, What do you guys believe is the most underrated stable in wrestling history?
See, now this is something that took me a while because, we actually have a YouTube video on the channel about stables or more factions. Do they work or not? So you can check that out. My answer is Right to Censor. Because I think looking back, a lot of people see Right to Censor as a parody, but realistically, they had a ton of potential. I mean, you took a guy like Steven Richards, who wasn't really doing much in WWE, and you made him a somebody. Now, of course, at the end, it sort of went downwards, but we got the good father. We got Jackie. We got Ivory at some point. Was Jackie Right to Censor? Wait.
I don't think she was.
No, I'm confusing, yeah. Ivory, of course, we had Val Venus, Bull Buchanan. It was a different stable that should have not worked.
And not only did we get the Godfather, we got the Good Father.
Yeah.
The best name in wrestling history.
And they basically took all of these characters that people love for a very extreme reason and then just switched it. And it worked, but it just sort of became like a sidetrack. It became like a side project, and then it went away. Because, even when you look back at Ivory versus China, any match that they had on a pay-per-view, they didn't really look too good.
No, that's a really good answer. But the one I have to go with is, as far as being underrated, the Nation of Domination. I think that's a very underrated stable in history. It's kind of looked back as like a one-trick pony when it comes to that being like the launching platform for The Rock. But everybody else in that stable did really good work when they were a part of it, like Farouk, and even when he got taken out of the Nation, D'Lo Brown, Akeem, which later became the Godfather. He was not too bad, and even Owen Hart in the Nation of Domination, as weird as that still is to say.
Which nation did you like the most? Without Farouk, with The Rock as the leader, which variation?
It was definitely way better with The Rock as the leader, because it felt more of like, it felt like they were more impactful. Like everybody had a much stronger role. Like around that time where it was The Rock as the leader, Farouk just got taken out, and Mark Henry joined the Nation. That's my favorite variation of the Nation. But yeah, I think they're very underrated in wrestling. Now, as far as Ryan goes, he says, well, actually gives a couple answers. 3MB, agreed. Kai and Tai, all right there, buddy. And the Un-Americans, his real answer. You see what he did there? See what he did there? They're often forgotten, but were solid heels. And he's 100% right. The Un-Americans they were great. They were really good at what they did.
They were Test, Landstorm, and Christian.
Mm-hmm. They kind of hit the low-hanging fruit as far as being heels. Like, yeah, anti-America, the heck with that. But I still think they did a really good job with what they had. So, Dante, thank you for the question. Our next one comes from Fresh Toast 6000, and he simply asks, do you guys keep up with Botchamania?
Yeah, we've watched Botchamania for, how many years? Like a decade,
probably
right?
Near the beginning, since the beginning. I remember watching Botchamania 1.
Yeah, I remember just watching Botchamania before it was a thing. Just when it was a video this guy was editing and people thought it was pretty funny. It's crazy to see how that just came to be where even wrestlers, speak out, oh, my match is going to be on Botchamania.
Yeah, Botchamania is great. And if you're listening out there and you've never checked out Botchamania, please do yourself a favor. Just look it up. I think you can go to botchamania.com and see the archive. The creator of it, Matthew, is a freaking genius. Very good at what he does, and I cannot recommend watching Botchamania to people enough.
For context, just in case, because we assume maybe some people know. Botchamania, the name sort of gives it away, but it's a highlight reel, or low light reel, depending on how you look
wrestling.
At it. Of like missed spots, or when wrestlers talk too much, so you hear like them calling out moves in the match and all that good stuff. So it's basically the inner workings of a match exposed in your face. It is just there.
Indeed. And it's always watching people mess up. Now, what Ryan says is that he tries to catch up as much as he can, but he always enjoys it whenever he watches. So even Ryan gives Botchamania a thumbs up. He's a very smart man. Our next question comes in from good friend of the show, Cody Collier, and he asks, what do you think has been the most underrated aspect of the WWE in 2015 so far, and why?
I think the most underrated thing has been just they are trying to really figure out not just their niche audience, which is, just the people that like WWE, but how can they create a legitimate universe around it? I mean, I reviewed Swerved. If you can go to the network, there's just finally enough content that maybe you don't want to watch wrestling, then you can go watch Big Show, and then Swerved and having a good time, or you can watch a documentary, or you can watch 24, or you can watch Culture Shock, or you can watch, I forget what the name of Renee Young's show in the network.
Unfiltered.
Unfiltered. Like, they are finally creating their own world. It's almost like WWE is becoming their own Netflix, and not just about wrestling programming as in wrestling action, but just the characters that you love in so many different ways.
Yeah, you are not wrong about that. My answer is going to be the mid-card. I think that not a lot of people are talking about just how many people have been called up and developed this year so far. I mean, it's easy to get lost in the complaining like, oh, all these guys are losing matches, but they're on the show now, and it's only going to get better. They're only going to go up. Like, in the next couple of years, I think right now we will look back and say that this was the time where they set up the future of the company in a very serious way. 2015 has been a heck of a year for a change in wrestling, if you look at it as a whole.
Definitely.
Now, what Ryan says is that he thinks the most underrated aspect is the quality of the pay-per-views. He thinks that there hasn't really been a bad pay-per-view all year so far. And as I'm thinking about it, I think he's right.
Yeah, I would say even the thing that we've liked the least about, which I can't even think, just like, what
I would say
pissed us off? Yeah.
The Royal Rumble would be the only thing that... The Royal Rumble wasn't bad, but it was only the only negative pay-per-view of the year so far.
Which goes to show a lot, comparing to maybe 2012, 2013, where we were pissed off at some conclusions, which that still happens maybe on a Raw or something, but I think Ryan said like 2 weeks ago, as dull as the build-up for a pay-per-view can be, the pay-per-views are very much delivering.
Thank you for the question, Sir Collier, and the next one comes in from J4 Gaming, and he asks what everybody wants to know. Do you believe in unicorns? If so, which member of Byte That is most likely to be a unicorn?
Of course I believe in unicorns. I mean, who doesn't? And the answer is Keith. I mean, he is easily the horniest one of the bunch, so it only makes sense.
I can't argue that point.
Your face is just like, yup. I mean, I can't. Pick yourself. I mean, have the decency to pick yourself, man.
Officer, I am guilty as charged here. And I mean, you have to have 3 to make it a party, and Ryan agrees with us. He believes in unicorns, and I'm probably the only one that could possibly be that answer. So,
says
J4,
a lot about you.
Yeah, well, sometimes looking in the mirror isn't exactly always a delightful experience. # sadness.
What?
I don't know.
Let's just move on. Let's move on.
Our next question comes in from NKBE1324, or as we like to know him in these parts, Juan's boy. It's your boy. Yeah. So he asks, what's a dream match you'd want to happen? Or you'd like to see?
I saw that a lot of people always have Kurt Angle as their pick and all that good stuff. My answer is a stereotypical one because I've always wanted to see that match, and that is Shawn Michaels versus The Rock. And not just a match, but I would love to see Hollywood Rock take on Diesel and Shawn Michaels.
Oh, the charisma. It just oozes
just think about
from that match. Oh, that's a really good pick. Mine, you kind of have to create a time tunnel to make it happen as well, but I'm going to say Shawn Michaels, like in prime wrestling Shawn Michaels versus circa 2003 AJ Styles, like both wrestlers in their prime, just going to town and just like putting on a spectacle of a match. I think that would be one of the best matches of all time. If
never thought about that. Good pick, yeah.
Indeed. Now, Ryan, even though you said that Kurt Angle is kind of a, let's say, the easy pick, he goes down that rabbit hole and chooses Kurt Angle versus Daniel Bryan. And I mean, he's right. I mean, think about, like, 2001 Kurt Angle with the hair, WWF champion, just a wrestling machine against Daniel Bryan. Just machine versus machine, the most technical match of all time that could have happened.
Oh, so good. I just got to say, I mean, Kurt Angle versus Shane McMahon, the street fight, King of the Ring.
One of the best matches of all time.
Oh, so good. I want to watch that now.
It's almost like we should maybe do that pay-per-view as one of our commentaries.
Uh-oh.
Eh?
Uh-oh.
Eh?
Huh?
Eh? 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 And our next question comes in via email from Mr. Travis Hayes, and he asks, how long do you think Seth Rollins should keep the title? And when he does lose it, who would be against?
See, now last week's podcast episode would have had a much different answer, but he is pulling double duty Night of Champions.
It seems pretty obvious, right?
Yeah. The odds of Ryan's prediction being right over Sting is going to have a short-term title reign is definitely going to be true. So what I think is going to happen is that Rollins will keep the U.S. title, will lose the world title, and when he's about to win it back, somehow Sheamus is going to be involved. I don't know how, but it seems like the perfect chance to do that.
See, I agree with you, except I think at Night of Champions, Rollins is losing everything. He's going to lose the United States and WWE Championship, but that's for another show. We've got weeks till the prediction show. I'm sorry. But I almost have to answer this question in two ways, because when do I think he's going to lose the title? Well, that's Night of Champions. It seems very obvious, like we said. When do I want him to lose the title? Well, not at Night of Champions. A little more down the road, like Survivor Series. I still don't think Sting should be WWE Champion, especially after that whole, well, I'm doing it to prove you're not as good as Triple H thing. It just, I don't know. I'm not on board with that whole concept. And maybe they'll change my mind, but right now, it's going to take a lot to do that. Now, what Mr. McNulty has to say is Rollins will keep the title a few weeks longer than Sting. Wait. A few weeks longer than Sting. Then he wins it back.
I think he missed a comma.
Yeah. You want to say this one? I don't know if I understand it.
Let's try it. A few weeks longer, then Sting... Okay, what? Yeah, okay. A few weeks longer, then Sting, then he wins it back, then Dean Ambrose, if the build is right. You know, we'll leave this to interpretation.
Yeah, whatever you think that means, because we have no idea where it goes.
Let me read this one more time. We got it. Okay. Ryan says, a few weeks longer, then Sting, then he wins it back, then Dean Ambrose.
So he holds it for a few more weeks, then Sting wins it, and then he wins it back.
Then Dean Ambrose.
And then Dean Ambrose.
I think we did it.
Oh, okay.
I think so.
I feel good about it. Let's go with it. And move on to the next question that comes in from Sean J. And he simply asks, does it bother you guys that they killed off the World Heavyweight Championship? And my answer is simply no.
No, I never understood the concept of how do you have the WWE title and then the world title? It's like, shouldn't there be one main title? So I do like that there can be one primary champion. Now, if the question was, do I miss the World Heavyweight Championship, like the belt itself, the title, that is probably my favorite title. It's so simple, It's so beautiful, historical. So I do miss the title. I just don't miss there being two main champions. Yeah,
as far as the fact that there's a champion there, it almost feels like a relic of a gone era, because that was for when there was Raw and then there was SmackDown. Like, you had a champion for both shows. Once they merged them back together, it just made the World Heavyweight Championship, which is a pretty prestigious title with a lot of history, like you said, seem like the B champion. And that ain't right. That just ain't right. So I'm personally happy it's gone and they're down to one title. And Ryan agrees, and he says simply that he loves the fact that there's only one top title. And yeah, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Yeah.
And now on to the final question of this week's show, coming in from True Prince of Pro. He asks, World Championship Wrestling will be remembered as a company that sparked the Monday Night War. Many great things came out of WCW, like the NWO, Goldberg, DDP, etc. For all the good that came out of WCW, there was some bad, and some should be like highlighted, bolded, and italicized. I want to know what you guys think is the worst booking decision or the funniest moment in WCW that you can remember. Also, hashtag bring back Johnny Curtis.
Yes!
You're starting a movement and I don't like it.
It's happening, man. Get ready for it.
Indeed.
See, WCW, as I've mentioned in the past, during the Attitude Era, I watched WCW, not WWF. I didn't watch WWF until basically the Monday Night Wars ended. There were a lot of dumb matches, things that didn't make sense, and
you
pissed
put up
me
with
off.
a lot of things during that time.
Oh, you have no idea. Yeah, I mean, Sabu in WCW was a sad thing. I can go down that route. Now, there's something that always gets brought up, and that was when I also it hurt me, and that is the finger poke of doom. You can have dumb things happen. You can have a triple cage match. You can have David Arquette as your champion. You can justify anything in wrestling. But the moment they did the finger poke of doom, to me as a fan, and keep in mind I was young. It's not like, I had this intention of overanalyzing everything. It just told to me, man, they will do whatever the hell just for shock factor. Like, you cannot get invested into any storyline because they will turn it even if it just doesn't make sense. Especially, you can put money on a pay-per-view. Doesn't matter. All they care about is having higher ratings, so they clearly don't care about you.
Sounds like another company that's kind of going on right now, doesn't it? Huh. But as far as the worst booking decision, now I was somebody, like I've said before, that watched both shows during the Monday Night War. I would flip between the two, watch Raw and Nitro. As far as booking decision, I think the worst thing that WCW ever did was leave so much talent underutilized. Like the way Nitro was set up, for those that don't know, especially during the early era, there was basically two wrestling shows of WCW's on Monday night. Like, they split it up in two sections. Like, imagine if SmackDown happened right before Raw. Like, there was the B show, and then there was Nitro, and that's where you would see Hulk Hogan go one-on-one against Roddy Piper and Bret Hart and Goldberg and all them. But on the show that happened before it, that's where you would see the Chris Jerichos. That's where you would see the Dean Malenkos, the Ultimo Dragons, Rey Mysterios. All the people that you look back and say, like, wow, WCW just wasted what they had with those guys. And yeah, they all moved on. They all became huge stars for the most part. And just like their time in WCW is looked back as this unfortunate thing. If maybe WCW would have utilized them a little better, maybe they would have had something more than they did. So I think they booked basically half of the big stars from that generation, half of the new big stars, as poorly as possible. And that, in my opinion, is the worst booking decision WCW ever did. So yeah. It sucks to think about. Speaking of sucking to think about, let's see what Ryan has to say about this one. Ryan says, although I never watched WCW when it actually aired, I've heard plenty of stories. The worst booking decision was probably having Nash beat Goldberg and killing their only self-made star. Hashtag Johnny Curtis sucks. Juan, get over it.
Come on!
See, Ryan knows what's up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Nash Goldberg was another key point. The other one I thought of just right now is Chris Jericho and Goldberg not having an actual feud. Chris Jericho feuded with the man called Goldberg, but then Goldberg killed that feud off immediately, and it led to nothing.
God, but Chris Jericho during that feud is some of Chris Jericho's best.
Oh, by far.
If you want to see like master of the mic level promos, go back and watch some of Chris Jericho's promos against Goldberg, and even just some of his heel promos in general from around that time when he stopped caring really and just said anything he wanted on the mic. It's master level stuff.
Definitely. Now, before we conclude the show, Keith.
Yes.
Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain.
Oh.
I gotta get your comments, man. Get that across. This is your moment. We're breaking the kayfabe right now.
Oh no, we're not going to talk about wrestling. Whatever will we do? But Yes, Metal Gear Solid 5. It came out today, as of our recording, and I've already put about 5-6 hours into it, and oh my sweet Lord in heaven, it is the best game I have ever played. I'm not even saying that through hype goggles, but honestly, it just plays so good. The story is Metal Gear levels of crazy. That is what it is. I have no idea where it's going with that, but the thing that I really want to highlight about Metal Gear Solid 5 and what I've played of it so far is the fact that it really feels like the illusion of choice, or the promise of choice in video games, has finally been achieved in this game. How they really take the open world aspect of it and just basically make it a playground. Like there's 100 ways to approach every situation, and every single one of them work. You can make them work, and it feels great. Like I spent about an hour and a half on one mission yesterday just because I wanted to meticulously yesterday, I guess this morning at like 2 a.m. But yeah, I just was going through as slow as possible, trying to be perfectly stealthy, and then just did the same mission again, went guns blazing, killed a bunch of people, got the exact same rank. It was a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying my time with it, and I can't wait to put my entire life into it over the next couple of days. That's my rant about Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to play as much. Quick podcast production note. Podcast almost didn't even happen because we were originally supposed to record on Monday. I mean, Keith, you even tweeted out. It had to be like an hour before the show. Boom, a transformer went out. Not more than meets the eye, like an actual electricity transformer.
Yeah, Bumblebee's still doing good.
Yeah, he's doing good. So then I just got back electricity maybe 30 minutes before we started recording. And then we got this going. Otherwise, there was a chance for the first time ever we missed out the show. So, played a little bit. I think the game is amazing. It feels so correct. Like the controls.
It feels so good.
It just feels good. Oh, I just want to go back to playing it. So we're definitely doing that after the show. Now, having said that, obviously this is a wrestling show. We are contemplating adding some gaming stuff, or just, generally non-wrestling stuff, things that we like over at the channel, youtube.com/ByteThatCast. We actually put out a channel video. So if you guys and gals want to see us do some non-wrestling stuff, drop a comment below if you're listening on YouTube. Send us a tweet, ByteThatCast. We're also on Wrestling Amino, Byte That, Instagram, Byte That. It's all the good stuff. We want you guys to be involved in the decision-making process. We have the podcast. That's always going to happen every single Tuesday night. We're going to have the Square Roundtable. So we took a little break, but we are coming back. We're coming back strong. We have Superstar Spotlights in the making, Top 5s in the making. So make sure you hit that subscribe button on the channel. Hit a thumbs up in any of the videos that you see. Get the word out. You are easily the best way for us to grow. We don't put a single dollar, a single penny into promoting the show. We want to make sure that whenever we grow, it's because people love the show, they enjoy it. So definitely enjoy the Twitch streams. That is the best way to interact with us. Maybe Keith will play some Metal Gear in the future. I definitely have some. 4. Exactly, that still has to happen, which will be kind of weird. Probably, mechanically speaking, that's going to be a rough transition back from MGS5.
I never even thought of that. Oh no, that might be horrendous.
Yeah, that's painful. So we'll be back next week getting Ryan's reaction on maybe. We'll be getting Ryan's reaction regarding the soap opera that is Ziggler, Lana, Rusev, Ray. So thank you for listening, and we'll be back. And we will be back, I should say, with a lot more right here on Byte That.